Hello, Suns fans. This is Suns Latest. I am Rich Rubin. We have a lot to get to today. So let's start off with this amazing quote from a really fast person. Quote, dreams are free. Goals have cost. While you can daydream for free, goals don't come without a price. Time, effort, sacrifice, and sweat. How will you pay for your goals? End quote. That is from Usain Bolt, a very fast person who has nothing left to prove. But what I always loved about Usain Bolt, a showman as well as an incredible athlete, but always just, fun. Seemed to be enjoying himself, and isn't that the point? How will you pay for your goals? An important question that we ask, and many times we ignore it. Yeah, there is a cost for anything that's worthwhile, and that's okay. It's not always monetary, and it's not always blood, sweat, and tears. Sometimes it's emotional cost. Sometimes it's losing a friend. Sometimes it's stepping away from something that might actually be good, but in the long run might actually be bad. Alrighty, so we have a couple of things regarding the theme nights that the Suns have released. This is, like in baseball, this would be like bobblehead night. I will never understand wanting a bobblehead. I will never understand the appeal of bobbleheads. 85% of them don't look like the player, and they're weird to me. Do you guys like bobbleheads? It's not a judgment. I'm just telling you something about myself. This isn't all of them, but here's some interesting ones and some important ones. Hoops for Troops. November 10th versus Pelicans. Mascot Madness, January 4th versus OKC. Mascot is it like you bring your high school team mascot, or is it like the NBA mascots show up? I like the All-Star Weekend when all the mascots show up and beat the living crap out of each other. Legacy Night, January 9th versus Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, and the Knicks. That is probably, and I will look deeper into this, that is probably one of those nights where some old school Suns show up, and that's usually pretty freaking cool. Get to meet Amari Stoudemire or Steve Nash or somebody like that on a night like that. And, of course, Fan Appreciation Night, April 8th versus the Dallas Mavericks. All right, moving on to what we got to talk about. So, lost in all the point guard speculation and lost in all the, who are we going to get? Who are we going to get? Between Gillespie, Jordan Goodwin, and this guy, Jared Butler, we might have a point guard. We don't know. We know what Colin Gillespie is capable of. He will suffer on the defensive end. His explosiveness is underrated. He is a true point guard. And I don't think he'll ever be what you want in a starter just because of his size. But I like that he is on our team. I like that right now he is the number one point guard in rotation. So the other two guys are Jordan Goodwin, second go-around with the Suns. Really good athlete, really good defensive player. At this point, hopefully he's improved his scoring. At this point, hopefully he has improved his facilitating. But he really is an oversized point. But I do like Goodwin for his athleticism alone, and he's a very good defender. Now, Jared Butler is a wild card. We don't know a whole lot about him. 6'3", 193, a true point guard. No questions. This guy is not your shooting guard. This guy is facilitate first, make a layup, make the smart decision. Career highs of 9 points, 3.7 assists in 17 minutes per game with the Sixers and Wizards in 17 starts last year. So very pedestrian point totals, very pedestrian assist totals. 17 minutes a game over two cruddy teams where he probably didn't have a whole lot of people to pass to and was still trying to just keep his spot on the roster. And that is going to make it a little bit difficult for you to really get going. Here is a plus. Career high 26 with the Wizards last year. If you can get 20 points in a game when you're being used in spot minutes, or even if you're a part-time starter, that says something about you. That means you are doing something more than just, I hope I get my contract. So this will be his 5th year. And so far, it looks like the first time he'll be dealing without a bunch of injuries. He kind of came out of the box after being drafted, and injuries hit him right away. So we haven't seen the true Jared Butler yet. So I'm wondering, once again, what do we got in this guy? We don't know what we're going to find out. He is on a 1-year, $2.5 million contract. Feels like he will get a fair shot to not only make the Suns, but get a legit look at being a high minutes point guard. It would be absolutely incredible, and because it's so rare when an unheard of point guard works out. The last guy I can remember was Kevin Johnson, where we all knew he was good because we saw him play in Cleveland, but he was injured so much in Cleveland. I don't think anybody thought he was going to be a perennial all-star, let alone like one of the greatest point guards in NBA history. I thought people thought he was going to be good, and that was about it. I'm not comparing them. I'm saying it's very difficult not to be known as a good point guard and then become a good point guard. So I don't know. I love the competition factor between these three guys. One of them is probably going to have to go. Is it going to be Butler? Is it going to be Goodwin? Is it going to be Gillespie? Are these two guys going to surpass him? I'm not sure. He was an outstanding college player. I want to see what he can do. He looks like he should be better than what he's already put out there. Again, injuries have been an issue with him. Perfect point guard body and game. So let's hope we got something here. More reason to hope that Jared Butler is the real deal and that Goodwin is a much improved player the second time around. Restricted free agent Josh Giddy, someone who I thought would be a perfect fit for us as a Sun, and Devin Booker, and a lot of you did too in your comments. Yeah, he just signed a 4-year, fully guaranteed $100 million contract with the Bulls, according to his agent, Daniel Moldovan. So we're going to have to close the door on Josh Giddy forever, I think. It just seems like the Bulls finally made the correct decision. And you know what? Out of everybody we got, that's got to be our guy. The Suns will not be getting Josh Giddy. It's not going to happen. We're not going to get him at the trade break. Just to make it worse, just to rub it in so we can really go to sleep with this horrible thought in our head. Last season, after the All-Star break, Josh Giddy raised his game, 21.2 points per game, 10.7 rebounds, and 9.3 assists on 50% shooting and 46% on three-pointers. Basically, he averaged a triple-double in the second half of the season with incredibly high field goal percentage from inside and outside the arc. Say goodbye to Josh Giddy. We are never going to talk about him again. All right. Let it sink in. We're not getting Giddy. No, I really wanted him. I thought something would happen. I thought we could pull off a miracle. Nope. All righty, moving on to your comments, and then we're going to rank them. Let's see. Hammer Don PHX. You had a lot to say this week. Hammer Don. I was born and raised in Nebraska, so I hated Barry Switzer growing up. Oh, okay. Barry Switzer had a great quote about being born in third base, the act of entitlement. Yeah, if you're born in Nebraska, you hate Barry Switzer as the Oklahoma coach. Always seem to be able to get that turnover. Yeah, Barry Switzer just seemed like he wasn't very bright. I think he was fooling a lot of people. And I think Jimmy Johnson's Cowboys would have smashed Barry Switzer's Cowboys, even though it was basically the same team. Yeah, I agree with that. I wonder, also from Hammer Don PHX, I had wondered if you were going to address the Palavar. Oh, maybe you already have, and I'm going back and watching some of your old videos, and they mix the Palavar as an unnecessary or elaborate or complex procedure. That was David Stern's comment about Suns fans being pissed off over the suspensions of Amare Stoudemire and Boris Diaw in the 2007 playoffs after Robert Horry checked Steve Nash into the scores table. They got up from the bench. Oh, they didn't engage. They just stood up. And David Stern deemed that in a playoff series against the team that initiated the BS contact, which, by the way, asterisk next to Greg Popovich, I guarantee you he told Robert Horry to do that. He just said the Suns are making a big deal out of this. And David Stern, former commissioner, the late David Stern, was very good for the NBA, seeing where the Bucks were going to come from, making sure that Michael Jordan stayed in the spotlight as long as possible. David Stern was no dummy, but yeah, he was kind of smug and very unlikable. Yep, I mentioned it twice. And then somebody else brought up that we might be doing a villain segment on Suns Rank 'em down the road, like who are the greatest villains in Suns history. I mean, think about Robert Horry. I mean, is there a bigger one? I mean, because for God's sakes, he was also on our freaking team. Yeah. I've mentioned that twice. We might have to do a whole segment on that and how it really went down. But yeah, David Stern can, well, he's dead. Curious Mind 2525. Hello, sir. I don't think the Suns will add Kuminga or Carter right now. I don't either. The Suns are too close to training camp. I'm sure Coach Ott and others are working hard to create a team with cohesiveness and identity. Changing personnel right now could be disruptive to the process. Agreed. We also don't know what's going on. So, bringing in a new young head and getting rid of, I don't know what we would get rid of. We have to cut a lot of guys by the time the season starts. So, yeah, I agree with that. But it also depends on the player. You can bring a guy in mid-season and he transforms the team. So you never know. Also from Curious Minds, did you see the interview yesterday on the 9th? An interview came out on the 9th. What is the date today? Thank you. Yesterday, 2 days ago. with Nigel Hayes Davis on one of your competitors' podcasts. I like Nigel's intensity and understanding of the game. His demeanor reminded me of Mark West, a no-nonsense guy with excellent, concise communication skills. If he is anywhere near the talent level, as his motivation appears to be, Suns may have scored big time with this player. Now, Suns have always been sneaky with a guy that everybody didn't see. Mikal Bridges is a great example of that. Even though players and teams wanted him, Sixers drafted him, but we got him in a good trade. Sometimes a guy excels what you even think he's going to be. Back to Kevin Johnson. We knew he was good. Didn't think he was going to be almost superstar level. I think the interview you're talking about, I watched parts of it. It's on PHNX Suns podcast. Eric, Steve, and Gerald do a really good job. And I agreed about how Nigel Hayes Davis, no-nonsense guy, wry sense of humor. You ever notice the guys that cut back and forth between EuroLeague and Spanish League and the Chinese League, and then they get back to the NBA? They're changed. Just traveling changes you. Kobe Bryant, because he grew up abroad, it changed. He just, I don't know, more methodical in his thought, more introspective, I guess. Nigel Hayes Davis seems to have that feel about him, and he's definitely no nonsense. He's clearly been through a couple of years in the NBA. EuroLeague, he dominated the EuroLeague, incredible scorer. Now we have him, and it's really interesting to see what he can do. You're not hearing his name bandied about. You're not hearing anything, which is good. Let the game speak for itself. Let the preseason show you. It's like, oh, there we go. That guy might be a player. Who knows? He might be a starter. We don't know. Experience is you can't teach experience, and he definitely has it. Now let's see if he can put it into motion. I'd like to see him be the veteran presence, along with Royce O'Neal and Booker, and maybe to a lesser extent Grayson Allen. I'd like to see the veteran presence be something that elevates the team off the floor as well as on the floor. And maybe Nigel Hayes Davis is that guy. Not 100% sure. All right, let's wrap up Suns Latest. And by the way, thank you for your comments. You make the Suns Latest so much better than it could ever have been, because you give us stuff to talk about, and you help with the voting of the top 15 Suns players of all times. And thank you for subscribing. We are over 600 at this point. So just to go down it right now, we're doing the 15 greatest Suns, and we are ranking them. 15th greatest Sun. Moving on down, Dick Van Arsdale, number 14, Tom Chambers. Number 13, we had a tie with Alvin Adams and Sean Marion. And the other day we did Jason Kidd at number 12. So we are back to Amari Stoudemire, Connie Hawkins, Chris Paul, and maybe Dan Marley go into the number 11 spot. So I keep doing this with Stoudemire, and I was thinking about it the other day. Because of his accolades and because of the fact that he played with Nash, and the 7 seconds or less Suns changed the game. Steph Curry has changed the game. Steve Nash changed the game. But when a team changes the game, and when you are a huge part of that, Nash, Stoudemire, and Marion, really big parts of becoming this thing that the league kind of went in that direction. Just run another team to death with outrageously athletic wings and a can-do-it-all, except maybe defensive point guard. So Stoudemire, really big part of that. And think about it. Right before we got Nash, we had Stephon Marbury, a very capable point guard, but a shoot-first point guard. When Marbury left and we brought in Nash, with essentially the same team and a couple of three-point spot-up shooters, we became the 7 seconds or less Suns. Also, Stat has got a bunch of All-NBAs, including the first team, high scoring average, Rookie of the Year, number retired. The only mark on Stoudemire is he didn't improve his defense, and he made a point to retire as a Knick, which just stings and bothers me. So that could drop him lower. But compared to Connie Hawkins, who was great, really great for one season and very good for a few more, but wasn't there very long, but putting us on the map, our very first superstar, first time ever a Suns player made All-NBA first team, All-Star, battled Wilt Chamberlain to a semifinals against the Lakers in the early 70s, that great Laker team. And the Suns were up 3-1 in that series, and they lost. They could have gone to the Western Conference Finals. So there's some issues here, but I kind of have to put Stoudemire ahead of Hawkins, if anything, for longevity and accolades. And impact is pretty much the same. You're talking about legendary guys. You talk about Connie Hawkins. Stoudemire, as the years go on, is becoming a legendary Sun. So at the very least, I have to put Connie Hawkins lower than Stoudemire, maybe just one spot. And then we get to Chris Paul. And I don't know if we can cover Chris Paul because there's so much that Chris Paul did in a short amount of time. In many ways, a bigger impact than Connie Hawkins. Out of the bubble, after we got rid of Ricky Rubio, who I really liked, Chris Paul showed up and Devin Booker exploded. So when you have a superstar who becomes an all-NBA talent and helps him get to his first team and helps take you to the NBA Finals, even though Chris Paul broke down, and I hate to beat a dead horse, but that really is what happened. So there's the greatness of Chris Paul, and then there's the downfall of Chris Paul as a Sun, all in a very short amount of time. I think it's on par with what Connie Hawkins did. The only difference really is Chris Paul, like Connie Hawkins, took us out of the doldrums, got us to the playoffs. Chris Paul got to the finals. Connie Hawkins didn't. But Chris Paul was just simply here a little bit longer. So for right now, this is going to sound weird because it's Connie Hawkins, but then I'm looking at the other guys. And I think Dan Marley, at the end of the day, along with the Barkley and KJ Suns, had a bigger impact than Connie Hawkins as well and got to the final. So I'm going to put Connie Hawkins at number 11, just outside the top 10. So we got Dick Van Arsdale, Tom Chambers, Alvin Adams, and Sean Marion share number 13, Jason Kidd at 12, and Connie Hawkins at spot 11. And remember, since Marion and Adams are stuck at 13 together, unless you guys tell me that you want one of them to move up or down, we can put somebody else on the 15. Obviously, we're all thinking Jeff Hornacek, unless there's somebody else I'm completely missing. So that is it. Thank you for watching Suns Latest for the day. I am Rich Rubin. We're going to do it again very soon. Take care. Thanks a lot. See ya.